Welcome, my friends. I hope you all are doing well. Today, I have something truly special for you. Everyone knows that English is the most important language in the world, but when it comes to speaking it fluently, many people feel like their tongue twists every time they try. Don't worry, you're not the only one. I once had a student who thought Fluency was the name of a luxury shampoo. In this video, I'm going to share real stories, powerful tips, and a few laughs from my students who went from shy speakers to confident communicators. And guess what? No boring grammar drills, I promise. Stick around till the end because I'll also tell you the one thing every fluent speaker does, and it's something you can start doing today, even while brushing your teeth. By the end, you'll not only be inspired to speak fluently, but you might just laugh your way there. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more fun English stories. Fluency in English is something most people wish for. I remember, back in the day when I was a student like you, I really wanted to speak English fluently. I had the desire, but oh boy, I was shy, and my sentences full of funny little mistakes. One day, a teacher looked at me and said, "You can be fluent, just practice every single day." That simple sentence was like a spark. It lit a fire in me. When you truly want something, you've got to earn it. Fluency doesn't drop from the sky. It grows, slowly, just like a plant. Imagine planting a seed. You water it, let it soak in the sunshine, and take care of it daily. One fine day, it turns into a strong tree. Fluency works the same way, gentle, steady, and full of patience. I once had a student who looked really down. She said, "Teacher, I want to speak English, but I keep forgetting the words." I gave her a warm smile and said, "Hey, that's okay. Fluency isn't about remembering every word, it's about using what you do know. It's about practice." Her eyes lit up with a spark of hope. "But how do I practice?" she asked. I told her, practice is hiding everywhere. You can chat with friends, listen to stories, sing along to English songs. Heck, even talking to yourself in the mirror counts. Back in school, I loved listening to stories every night. Our teacher would read them, and I'd repeat the words. At first, I sounded like a robot, but over time, my words flowed more smoothly. I picked up new vocabulary, and felt more confident each day. Then, another curious student asked me, "Sir, does fluency mean talking really fast?" I chuckled and said, "Not at all. Fluency isn't about being fast. It's about being clear. If people understand you, you're doing great. You don't need speed, you need confidence." Once, there was a boy in my class who spoke at lightning speed. Seriously, he was like a bullet train, but nobody could understand him. I gently told him, "Buddy, slow down. Speak clearly. Use easy words." He took the advice, and soon, his words started making sense to everyone. He felt proud and finally started enjoying English. Fluency is like going on a road trip. You don't press the accelerator all the time. You go steady, enjoy the view, and take each turn with a smile. One day, you look in the rearview mirror and realize how far you've come. I've seen countless students who were scared to even say hello at first, but with a little daily practice, they transformed into confident English speakers. Want to know the real secret to fluency? It's not in big grammar books or magic apps. It's something simpler: listening. Listen to people talking in English. Watch English shows. Sing English songs. Eavesdrop on conversations, okay? Not really, but you get the idea. The more you listen, the more your brain soaks it in, like a sponge soaking water. There was this one girl I knew, absolutely loved music. Every day, she played English songs on repeat. Soon enough, she was singing along, hitting the lyrics spot on. Her fluency improved not through textbooks, but through vibes and tunes. Another golden rule: don't be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are like stepping stones. You step on them and keep going. I had a student who was terrified of saying something wrong. She stayed quiet because she thought people would laugh. I told her, "You're missing out. Mistakes are part of the deal. They teach better than any grammar lesson." One day, she spoke up in class. Sure, she fumbled, made some mistakes. But guess what? She didn't stop. She kept talking, and talking. And slowly, she got better. Later, she smiled and said, "Teacher, I'm not scared anymore." That was her turning point, the day she began her real journey to fluency. Fluency is also about changing the way you think. If your thoughts are in English, your words start flowing more naturally. One student I had used to translate every single sentence from his native language before speaking. That made him slow and unsure, like trying to walk with one shoe on. I once told a student, "Try thinking in English, even when you're just chilling alone." He gave it a shot. At first, it felt weird, but slowly, it worked like magic. His fluency began to improve, one thought at a time. Then there was another student, super chatty. He could talk about anything: food, cricket, aliens, you name it. But here's the twist: he'd start a sentence in English and then switch back to his native language midway. I told him, "Try to stick with English. Even if you don't know a word, try to explain it in English using simple ones." And guess what? A little trick helped him stay focused. Before long, he was chatting away in full English, like a pro. Reading is another secret weapon for fluency. When you read, you see how sentences are structured, and you discover new words like hidden treasure. When I was learning English, I used to read easy books. Every time I came across a new word, I'd jot it down in my little notebook. Then, I'd try using that word in my own sentence. This helped the word stick in my memory, and I was able to use it while speaking too. One day, a student came to me with a confused look and a book in her hand. "Teacher," she said, "I read this book, but I didn't understand everything." I smiled and said, "That's totally okay. The more you read, the more you understand. It gets better." She kept reading every day, like it was her new habit. And guess what? A few weeks later she came back smiling and said, "Now I understand so much more." Her fluency had improved, not by magic, but by reading and learning something new daily. Fluency is also about becoming your own listener. Sometimes, you've got to be your own audience. Record yourself speaking. Then, play it back. Find the spots where you sound unclear, or where you can do better. I had a student who did this every single day. She'd record herself reading a story, then listen carefully and figure out what needed improvement. That daily habit made her more aware of how she spoke, and soon, her fluency soared. Practicing with a friend is another amazing way to grow your skills. I knew two best friends who made a deal: let's talk only in English from now on. Every day, they had full conversations in English. If one forgot a word, the other helped out. They were like a tag team of learning, and they had fun while doing it. Soon, both of them were speaking fluently, helping each other along the way. Fluency also comes from living the language, not just learning it from books. Next time you're at the market, try asking for things in English. When you're hanging out with friends, throw in some English phrases. The more you use the language, the more natural it starts to feel. One of my students worked in a small shop. One day, he decided, I'm going to talk to every customer in English, no matter what. At first, he struggled. Some customers looked confused, some smiled. But with time, he got better. His confidence grew, and soon, his English was flowing like chai at a roadside stall. Curiosity, that's another secret ingredient for fluency. When you hear a new word, don't just let it fly past like a mosquito. Catch it. Find out what it means, then toss it into your next conversation like a pro. There was this one student, super curious. Every time he heard a new word, he'd run over and ask, "Teacher, what does this mean?" Then he'd use that word everywhere, class, lunch break, even while texting his friends. Before long, his vocabulary exploded, and with it, his fluency took off too. Another golden rule: have a goal. Ask yourself, why do I want to be fluent in English? When you've got a reason, your motivation becomes 10 times stronger. I remember a student who dreamed of visiting an English-speaking country. That dream became her mission. Every day, she practiced speaking English so she'd be ready for her trip. And guess what? By the time she boarded the plane, she was fluent and fearless. And here's something I always tell my students: enjoy the ride. Fluency doesn't arrive overnight like a food delivery. It's a journey. But if you enjoy the process, it starts to feel less like homework and more like fun. One of my students loved English movies. Every night, he'd watch one, popcorn in hand, subtitles on. At first, he relied on those subtitles. But gradually, he turned them off, and guess what? He understood more and more. He was enjoying the movies, laughing at the jokes, and becoming fluent without even realizing it. Repetition is another superpower. The more you repeat, the better you get, just like singing your favorite song until you know every lyric by heart. I had a student who used to repeat English sentences he heard in class, again and again. At first, it sounded like an echo machine, but soon, those sentences became part of his daily conversations. Practice made permanent. Talking to different people is one of the best ways to become fluent. Every person has their own way of speaking, their own style. So, when you talk to different people, you pick up new expressions, tones, and ways of saying things. I remember a student who was very shy. He only ever spoke to me. I gently nudged him, "Why not try talking to your classmates too?" At first, he was hesitant, nervous even. But bit by bit, he opened up. Soon, he was chatting with everyone, and along the way, he picked up new ways of expressing himself. That's when his fluency really started to shine. Another cool trick? Talk about the stuff you love. When you speak about things you're passionate about, the words flow more naturally. I had a student who always paused if he didn't know the exact word. He'd freeze mid-sentence. I told him, "Don't stop, just describe it." And once he started doing that, the conversation kept flowing, even when he didn't know all the fancy words. One day, a student asked me, "Teacher, how long will it take for me to become fluent?" I smiled and said, "Well, that depends. How much are you practicing?" Some people become fluent in a few months. For others, it takes more time. But the golden rule? Keep going. Don't give up. That same student took my advice and practiced every single day. Soon, he started seeing real progress, and he couldn't stop smiling. Oh, and here's one of my favorite tips: practice in front of a mirror. Yes, really. When you see yourself speak, you notice your expressions, your gestures, even your confidence. It's like having a conversation with your most honest listener, you. There was a student who practiced non-stop. She worked so hard that she ended up completely exhausted and frustrated. I gently told her, take a break. Chill out. Come back tomorrow with a fresh mind. And guess what? After her break, she felt recharged, and her fluency kept getting better. Fluency is also about being creative with the language. You can write short stories, sing songs, or even make fun videos. I had a student who absolutely loved writing. Every day, she would write short stories in English. It helped her practice new words and sentence structures. Later, she began reading her stories aloud, and her speaking skills took a big leap forward. Want to know another cool trick? Teach someone else. When you teach, you actually learn twice as much. One of my students was already quite fluent. She decided to help her friends who were still learning. She taught them new words and practiced conversations with them. Not only did her friends improve, but she got even more fluent herself. Win-win. Also, having a routine really works wonders. Pick a time, any time, that works for you, and stick to it. I had a student who practiced English for 30 minutes every morning. It became his daily ritual, just like brushing his teeth. And that consistency paid off. He became more fluent day by day. Routine builds discipline, and discipline brings progress. But above all, be patient with yourself. Fluency takes time. It's not a sprint, it's more like a lovely, scenic walk through a beautiful park. Take it step by step, and enjoy the journey. I once had a student who was super impatient. He wanted to speak fluent English overnight, like it was magic. But when he didn't see quick results, he got frustrated. I told him gently, be patient. You are improving, even if it doesn't feel fast. He listened, kept practicing, and guess what? With time, his fluency improved and so did his confidence. You see, fluency isn't just about speaking, it's also about listening. When you really listen, you learn how to respond better. I had a student who always had a cheerful attitude. Even when she made mistakes, she'd laugh, say, "Oops," and try again. That positive energy helped her stay motivated, and eventually, she became fluent too. Fluency is also about being open to new experiences. Sometimes, you've got to step out of your cozy comfort zone. There was a student who was super confident in the classroom, but shy the moment she left school. I encouraged her, try speaking with people outside too. She felt nervous at first, but slowly, she started chatting more. Soon, she was speaking English confidently anywhere, not just in class. And here's another fun tip: learn from those who are already fluent. Watch how they speak, listen to their tone, their rhythm, pick up their style. I had a student who admired a famous English speaker. She would watch his videos and mimic his way of talking. Little by little, her own fluency improved, and she developed her own natural style too. At the end of the day, fluency isn't one single thing. It's a mix, a beautiful recipe of practice, patience, listening, speaking, and yes, even making mistakes. Each ingredient is important. Together, they make you fluent. I once told my students, fluency is like cooking your favorite dish. You need all the right ingredients, and you have to mix them just right. This simple idea really clicked with them. They understood that every part of learning, reading, listening, speaking, practicing, matters just like spices in a recipe. And just like cooking, you should celebrate the small wins. Every time you learn a new word or speak without getting stuck, even if it's just once, give yourself a little cheer. I had a student who would actually celebrate every small success. Got a sentence right? Big smile. Used a new word? Happy dance. Her joy made her proud and kept her excited to learn more. When you celebrate the little steps, you start seeing how far you've come, and that feeling keeps you moving forward. One day, a student asked me, "Teacher, what if I get stuck in the middle of speaking?" I told him, "No worries. Just pause, take a deep breath, and then continue." This simple tip helped him a lot. He learned to stay calm and not panic. Over time, his pauses became smooth, and his fluency started to shine. Fluency is also about using what you learn. If you learn a new word today, try using it in a sentence tomorrow. One student loved walking around the city. Every English sign he saw, he'd stop, read, and try to understand it. This habit added so many useful words to his vocabulary, and he started using them in conversations, too. And finally, here's something fun and important. Be curious about the culture behind the language. English isn't just one style. It's spoken in so many different countries. Each place adds its own flavor and rhythm. Learning about those differences makes English even more exciting, and it helps you connect with the language on a deeper level. Remember, making mistakes in English doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're learning in real time. Think about it. When a baby learns to walk, it falls 100 times, but no one says, "Oh no, this baby is bad at walking." We smile, we cheer, and we say, "Keep going." Learning English is the same. Every mistake you make is proof that you're trying. So instead of being afraid of mistakes, welcome them. They're your stepping stones to fluency. Fluency isn't just about using fancy words, it's also about how you say them. Your body speaks too. Yes, your gestures, your expressions, your posture, they all add life to your words. I remember a student who had brilliant body language. Even though his sentences were simple, the way he spoke, with his hands, his smile, his confidence, made him seem truly fluent. He could connect with people better just because he used his body to help tell his story. Sometimes, it's fun to give yourself a little challenge. Try talking about something you don't usually talk about. It pushes you to discover new words and fresh ideas. I had a student who was a sports lover. But one day, he picked science as a topic. At first, he struggled. But with time, he picked up new words, understood more, and eventually became fluent in talking about science too. That's the magic of stepping out of your comfort zone. Fluency also grows when your mind is calm and relaxed. When you're not nervous, the words come out smoothly, like water flowing from a tap. One of my students would get really tense while speaking. I told him, "Take a deep breath before you begin. Just breathe." And it worked. He started feeling calm, and soon, his fluency began to shine. Another golden rule: use what you learn. If you learn a new word today, don't just let it sit in your notebook. Use it tomorrow. Make English your habit, not your homework. Homework can feel like a chore, but a habit feels natural. Try spending a few minutes every day using English. Listen to a song, watch a short video, or read a simple story. I knew a student who started playing an English song on his way to school each morning. After a few weeks, he noticed he could speak more smoothly, because English had become part of his daily routine. I had a student who followed this rule strictly. Every day, one new word, and he made sure to use it in a real sentence. It became part of his speech, naturally and easily. Learning is not just about books. It's all around you, if you pay attention. I had a curious student who loved exploring the city. Every English sign he came across, he would stop, read, and try to guess its meaning. This simple habit added loads of useful phrases to his vocabulary, and he could use them in conversations like a pro. And you know what really adds sparkle to your fluency? Being curious about the culture behind the language. English isn't just one voice, it's spoken in different ways all over the world. Each country brings its own flavor, style, and tone. When you explore those cultures, you don't just learn the language, you start to feel it. English is spoken in so many countries, and each one has its own special way of using it. I had a student who was really drawn to British English. He would watch British TV shows, mimic the accent, and dive into their culture. Slowly, he began to understand the rhythm, tone, and expressions, and that made a big difference in his fluency. But fluency isn't just about words, it's about how you deliver them. Your body language is a powerful tool. When you move your hands, smile, or use expressions while speaking, your message becomes clearer and more engaging. I remember a student who was a big sports fan. But one day, he chose to speak about science. At first, it wasn't easy, but he kept trying. Slowly, he learned new words, built confidence, and became fluent in that topic too. Being relaxed is also key. When your mind is calm, your words come out smoother. Confidence in English is like tea. It gets better when it's hot and shared with others. Just like a warm cup of tea tastes best when you sip it with friends, your confidence in English grows when you practice with others. I had a student who was too shy to speak alone, but when he joined a small study group, he found his words flowed more freely. Every time he chatted with classmates, his tea got hotter, his confidence rose, and soon he was happily joining conversations on his own. I had a student who mastered this skill. He'd ask his classmates about their day, hobbies, or favorite things. This constant practice helped him get better at speaking, because he was always involved in real conversations. And don't forget to pause and reflect. Every few weeks, take a moment to notice how far you've come. Look at the words you've learned, the confidence you've gained, and the conversations you can now have. This reflection reminds you that you're growing, step by step. I had a student who kept a journal of his English journey. Every week, he'd write about what he learned, what he found difficult, and how he was improving. This habit helped him track his growth and pushed him to keep moving forward. It reminded him that progress, even slow, is still progress. Fluency also means being flexible. Sometimes you might need to change how you say something so others understand it better. One of my students was great at this. If someone didn't get what he was saying, he'd simply rephrase it. That ability to adapt made his communication clearer and his English much more fluent. Learning with others also brings a lot of value. I had a student who joined an English speaking club. Every week, she met with other learners to practice conversations and share their experiences. Talking regularly in a group gave her confidence and made learning fun. Setting small goals is another smart strategy. Instead of saying, "I want to be fluent," try, "I'll learn 5 new words this week." One of my students used this approach. She would set tiny weekly goals, simple but achievable. And every time she reached one, she felt more confident. Over time, these small steps turned into big improvements in her fluency. Above all, fluency comes from not giving up. I had a student who faced many challenges in learning English. There were days he wanted to quit, but he didn't. He kept practicing, even when it was tough. One day, he realized he could speak more smoothly than ever before. His consistency brought results. Sometimes, going back to older lessons can also be helpful. Reviewing what you've already learned can strengthen your foundation and refresh your memory. It's like watering the roots to help the tree grow stronger. I had a student who made it a habit to review her notes every month. This simple practice helped her remember what she had learned and boosted her confidence when using English in real life. Fluency also grows when you enjoy the language. Find something in English that excites you, a book, a movie, a song. I once had a student who adored English poetry. She read poems every day, trying to feel the rhythm and understand their meaning. This made her love the language more and improved her fluency naturally. Asking for feedback is another powerful way to grow. When you speak, ask someone to tell you how you did. I had a student who always asked me for feedback after speaking. This helped him see what he was doing well and where he could improve. Feedback became his guide on the journey to fluency. Another great technique is using flashcards. Write new words on small cards and go through them regularly. One of my students used this method religiously. He made flashcards for every new word he came across and reviewed them daily. It helped him remember the vocabulary and use it confidently in conversations. Fluency is also about being okay with silence. Sometimes, you need a few seconds to gather your thoughts before speaking. I had a student who used to panic whenever there was a pause. He felt like he had to speak right away. I told him it's completely fine to pause and think. This helped him stay calm, and his speech became clearer and more natural. It also helps to learn phrases rather than just individual words. When you focus on phrases, you understand how words naturally come together. The journey to fluency isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Just like a river flows steadily toward the ocean, your consistent effort will carry you closer to your goal. Fluency is not just about speaking smoothly. It's about connecting with others and expressing your unique voice. Every new word you learn, every sentence you speak, becomes a bridge to new understanding and new friendships. Remember, fluency isn't a race, it's a journey, and even if you trip over a few words, at least make it a stylish fall. If you found these tips helpful, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe, because your fluency journey deserves a front row seat to more awesome content like this. Drop a comment and tell me, what's one funny or inspiring moment from your English learning journey? I read every single one. Until next time, keep practicing, stay curious, and let your voice be heard.